So pardon the brightness right now. Of course, I always pick the best times of day to film when it's the harshest light. Ridiculous. So we're standing right now in what we're trying to figure out may or may not be the building site that we are working on. So we haven't told anyone.
Not for the house.
Yes, we haven't told anyone this yet, but we need a shop, we need a house. So we thought maybe in the interim we should do a shop house and still plan to have our house up on the hill eventually, but with the way things are going with prices these days and shortages and supplies and you name it, we just kind of were thinking maybe we could just find a way to get out here and get that house done eventually, but save some more money. We're kind of the type of people that like to save money and pay off as much stuff as we possibly can.
Right.
So.
And this would help limiting our commute time. Also, when you're out here, neither one of us ever want to go back. No. So we just want to get out here so we can be here all the time and not have to spend so much time back and forth. Get our dogs out here and get everything that we need out here, all of our tools and everything. So this will be the easiest step to do, most financially, fiscally responsible, I think, at this point, not getting in over our heads, but allow us to have a place for storage and have a place to live and accomplish what we want. So.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that we knew was going to be expensive, you know, when we got out here, it was just needing equipment and needing the utilities and all those things have added up, and we've been able to be blessed to afford a lot of those things so far, just kind of paying for it as we go. But what this would allow us to do is to continue on that path without going too crazy on our house and just get out here, like she said, and start working on some things and continuing our business and all that.
Right.
So what we're going to do right now is we have a few different ideas that we don't know which route we're going to go in terms of the design and things. So we're in an area right now where we're thinking this might be the location, and we're going to stake off some things, kind of try to get more of a visual, because when you're writing it out on paper, my brain doesn't work that way, so I need to see.
I see it, he doesn't see it, so we're out here to help him visualize, and step one is to talk about a couple different locations that we're looking at.
Yep.
So one of the things I really like is coming down the lane and coming across this culvert basically right into the building. I think it's a beautiful spot for it. This is fairly flat right here, so that would work pretty well for that. But one of the concerns we have is obviously this has been a really dry year and we don't know what to expect from a wet spot here. Not that we're going to put a basement or anything in, but you also don't want all of the water coming down from this hill and going straight down onto your building. So it kind of looks like this could end up being a marshy area, and we want to avoid that. We could always grade. There's kind of a slope up and there's a hill here that we could grade down. But this is one of the options that we're looking at for build site. The second option that we're looking at is partway up the hill. Now the house, eventually we want to reserve the top of the hill for that. There's a gorgeous view of the woodlands back there, and there's going to be a lot of utility work to do because that's quite a ways back there. But this spot right over here would be an alternative. Still a little bit of a slope, but there is quite a flat area, and it's pretty open back to the trees. It was pretty close to the lane. Of course, the downside to this one is obviously it's still on a slope, so you're still going to get some water runoff, but the farther you go back, the farther you have to take your utilities, which adds to the cost and adds to the amount of work and the time that we're going to have to do. So this is building site number 2 that we're considering. Building site number 3 that we're considering is kind of an extension of number 1. It's set back just a little bit further. I mentioned there's a slope up here that you kind of come up over the hill and we can go down to what we're calling our camp area. This is clearly drier. I mean, you can tell by the vegetation difference that there is drier area here. That's building site 3 option that we are considering. Very close to 1, could even be an extension of 1, but just a little bit farther back from the lane.
All right, so this is hypothetical number 1. All right, so I'm going to put this in at the crest of the hill.
Okay.
And then we're going to see how far that is to like where you're standing, even though I think that's a little too close. Oh, man. This ground is hard as a rock.
You're going to want to come in a straight line. There you go.
So we got 80 feet that way and 60 feet this way. What we're finding right here is that the width of that probably doesn't make sense in this spot because it's so close to the drive that you're kind of cutting off your driveway already. So I think it needs to either go back or needs to be set back into that location too.
I would say this eliminates building site 1.
So now we're testing out building site 2, which would go into that hill, but it would be set back from that drive far enough that we're not cutting that off, and we would have to do some excavation work to level all that out. So that's 80 feet right there. Now we're gonna do the width. So that's 60. That feels about right.
Yeah.
In that case, this looks a little bit bigger than it is because of the wide angle lens, but you would come off of that drive right there, and this would be the front of the building, which you still have plenty of space out here to move around, still have the drive, have a little bit of a cement pad in front of it, and I mean that would work. Or you want to try number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna test option 2. You see way off in the distance, there's probably slightly a better view here. And then this would be what you were backing to, which is down right through that. Right there is the camp area.
I just feel like it naturally falls longer this way than this way.
Okay, well let's just
fine.
measure it once and
Let's
see.
put a stake over here.
Okay.
And I'll go 80 and you can tell me. So again though, you would have a driveway out to here.
Yeah.
And that's the other problem.
I think it either has to go in that location,
Or it has to go the other
or it
direction.
has to go the other direction, and I just have to see a design of the other direction that I like.
Okay.
Or we decide that it's still too far to pull utilities all the way up to this spot at this point.
Okay. At this point, I'm leaning over there. Just because I do think bringing the utilities all the way up and straight in is one thing, but you start going this way, we just as well finish it off to go up to where we want to put the house.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I mean, we need to talk to everyone.
We need to talk to a few people that have a little bit better experience than we do and see their thoughts. And we're going to do a couple different designs on paper and see what it looks like.
Right.
So it's a little windy out here today, so I figured I would just sit in the UTV and finish this video and give you an update kind of on where we're at right now with this whole process, and still kind of going back and forth on a few different things. So we talked to some friends after we made these initial kind of ideas as to where the building was going to go. They made some good points that maybe we wanted to consider putting it outside of the gate. We do have that field area up towards the top of there that's near the gate. We could actually put it up there. It's not completely flat, but I think it would be pretty easy to work the soil there to make it fairly flat and put a building right up there. Now the view is actually really, really nice from that spot. And the reason that we hadn't originally thought of putting any building there that was going to be a living structure was just because of the fact that it was outside of our gate. We didn't think really about putting something outside of the gate that we wanted to live in. But the nice thing about that would be maybe in the future, we want to parcel that off and we want to make it into its own little thing. Or also, what we could do possibly is we could probably have it turn into like an Airbnb or something like that down the road, and it would be outside of our main living area as well. So it was kind of a good thought, and then we got to thinking more about that. I'm pretty sure we're leaning towards putting it at that spot now. It's just kind of coming up with what are the dimensions, what is the living area, all of that stuff. So we do have some stakes put out here to kind of get an idea of our initial thoughts on what we were thinking of size and all that. And it's really hard to get a sense of this just because I'm such a visual person, and even just having 4 corners of a building isn't really a whole lot for my mind to put together the actual size of it and get a feel for it. But that's really all you can kind of do at this point. That's really kind of the way we were leaning. I just wanted to give you an update here. I know we made this whole video kind of about some other ideas inside of the fence, but maybe this is a better better option for us. And we're going to kind of come up with something here, and we'll let you know our final decision, kind of what we're going to build, what's going to look like, and all that coming up soon. I want to thank you so much for following along with this. It's going to get exciting here coming into the fall season. Hopefully we can get some ground broken and get something going before it gets too cold, but I don't know if that's going to happen or what's going to happen. So stay tuned for all the progress. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. You'll watch how she can reach.
I can reach. It just, when the pedal goes down, then it's way farther. It's really far away from me.
You sit up on the seat. You can also move the seat a little bit farther forward.
Oh yeah, that's right. In the four-wheeler, remember?
We have got to fix this. I cannot ride with you like this.
I can't find a good pattern of push. Like, that's the problem. My problem, like.
Okay, so now if you go right down here, you can go around these stumps. Alright, we can stop right up in here.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
You're not allowing you to drive. You see what I've had to deal with all these years?
Apparently I've lost my driving privileges for today.